over to you, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great. Really appreciate everybody being here. It was a pretty good year for Clemson athletics all the way around. Starting in the fall with some great stuff out of our football program, our two soccer programs, volleyball's kind of moving into a good spot under Michaela, and this winter, certainly the run by our men's basketball team into the Sweet 16 was incredibly important. Into the spring, our tennis programs were vagabonds as we move forward with their facility, and the women did make the NCAA tournament. Golf teams were both just outstanding this spring. Men losing the ACC by one stroke, but making it to the NCAA finals, and certainly the baseball team did an incredible job, winning 47 games. Having just an outstanding game in the ACC tournament against Florida State, which was really one of the better baseball games I'd seen during the course of the year. We ended up on the wrong end of that one, but it was still a really, really great game. So all in all, I thought that there was a lot of progress within our sports on the field. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Dan, is there a timetable on Brownell's contract being?
Yeah, let me just. Yeah, we're very nearly done. I was going to say we're at the 5-yard line, but he's a basketball coach, so I was searching for a basketball analogy, but no, we're very, very close to having that done and being then prepared to take to our board of trustees for their ratification and approval.
Man, a year ago, there was a lot of public pressure on Coach Brownell. He said that he never really felt that pressure when he talked with you. How much vindication did you feel just from the success of the basketball program this year and the decision that you made to stick with Brownell?
I don't know that I'd put it in the vindication category, because I felt so strongly that the bones of the basketball program, led by Coach Brownell, were so strong. And I look at part of our job, whether it's Graham's or Joe's or anyone here in the athletic administration, our job is to give our coaches and our student athletes the resources that they need to be successful. And then we evaluate that. And in my conversations with Coach Brownell, there were a few things that we thought we should be able to do to help him become more successful. And I think we did those things, and not only from the facility perspective, which we had done a year before that, but just some key personnel that needed to be added in to help create a greater communication and camaraderie. And I also don't think that we should leave out the fact that they had gone on a foreign tour in August, and I think that really has helped in many cases create a real positive chemistry within the program.
Is there a specific reason why it's taken so much longer this year than last year with his extension?
We didn't do an extension last year.
Or in April last year, you guys renewed him or something?
No, I don't know that there's any reason why it's taken longer. I think it was just, he was after the basketball season, there was a little downtime for him. Then there was some recruiting, there were some personnel things that they needed to do from a player perspective, and bringing in the couple of transfers that they had worked on. So that was really taking up a whole lot of time. But there was never felt to be any real issue in waiting until the time that we have in front of us now, the July Board of Trustees meeting.
Dan, how is the search for a replacement for your new SID going, and is that getting close?
It is. We are at the goal line on that one, and I think that in the next few days we'll be able to tie everything up. We're just working through some HR process right now, so it would be premature for me to talk about that today. But you'll get something, I think, in the coming days associated with that. And I do want to say that from a process perspective, Coach Sweeney has been involved. He's been great. I mean, this is going to be, a day-to-day contact with him and the entire football program. So just as we're doing right now a parallel search in women's basketball for a sports information contact, Amanda is very involved in that. These are folks that work day to day with coaches. So while they need to work with our entire communication staff and our entire administration, they need to be able to have a good relationship with our head coaches as well. So both Amanda and Dabo have been both very involved in their individual searches, and we're getting down to the end in both of those.
Dan, it's kind of a big picture thing. You've done a lot of the heavy lifting here at Clemson. You worked on the football program in the stadium. You worked on, obviously, the arena has gotten done. What is there another project like that that's ahead for you, or what's the process of an AD who's kind of gotten things done and wants to take other steps forward?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. I don't know that we're ever done. We have a project that's in process right now, finishing the tennis facility, which has taken a little longer than all of us would have anticipated, but we should have that ready by mid-September, and it's going to be a great home for our tennis programs for years to come, and also add a really good entrance circumstance to historic Riggs Field. So that's going to kind of take care of that piece. But in the offing, we have the softball stadium that will begin to be built after this football season, so December of 2018. And we've got first approvals moving through the process right now for a soccer locker room, coach's office complex, which will be down at their new practice field area. So that process is moving along. Also, at the end of this football season, we will begin the demolition of the IPTAY building, and a new IPTAY office structure will be erected in that same spot. It was very important. We had an awful lot of conversation and a lot of study as it related to where IPTAY should be, and should that corner be remain IPTAY. And it was very important for IPTAY to stay there. And I certainly understand that. It's been a historic spot for IPTAY, and we look to work with them to rebuild their new office building, allowing them to be they're an incredibly important part of our program, and we want them to have room to expand and do some different development things. So in the end, the analysis kind of came out that the best spot is the spot that they're on. And so now, after doing a lot of due diligence as it relates to the actual construction, demolishing the building but rebuilding on that same site is the best path forward.
And that won't impact the stadium in any other way?
No,
yeah.
No. If you go real close to it, you'll see that it actually doesn't touch the stadium. There's a little bridge that connects to the concourse, so we'll be able to do that work. It will extend a little bit into the 2019 football season, just with the complexity of the construction, but we're going to move through the 2018 season without any other disruption. And then long term, Pete, you're always looking to see what might be next. When we started this entire facility plan, the building that you're sitting in was on the bottom. It was last. We're getting to the point where maybe we're close to last. So we might be able to do something with this building here within the next couple of maybe a year or so. Jervy's already been kind of reconfigured, and that driver was the ACC network and taking the middle part of Jervy and creating those studios. That's done. We're operational. If ESPN called today and said, we want you to do an event, we would be able to do it out of there on a linear basis. So we've also done some things down in Jervy Gym. We put a new floor in for women's volleyball. So now we're kind of working our way back up here. So this building will get its long-awaited makeover shortly. Longer term, I think we're always looking at ways to help the fan experience, whether it's traffic, whether it's parking. All of those things are still very high on our list, as well as how do we make the experience inside the stadium better. Are there other opportunities within the stadium to create some premium opportunities? We're studying that right now. We're nowhere close to coming to a conclusion. I think we're at a good number. You know, the 80,000 plus is a good number for Clemson, but I think we need to always continue to kind of put some things out there for, you know, the folks on campus and our board to look at and see, and IPTE as well, opportunities for donors to be able to continue to be philanthropic with us.
Speaking of construction, not really anything to do with you, but all of the construction in front of Sykes and Tillman, do they tell you that that's going to impact game traffic once the season gets here? They hope to have it done. What are they telling you?
Well, there's actually a couple of really big milestones for campus before we play our first football game. Move-in day on campus is, as many of you know around here, not a day that you want to be driving a car. So those are the dates. I think it's August 13th is when, you know, wherever they are, they're going to make sure that they have it ready to go for campus. We've been assured many times that it will be operable and game day traffic will be affected in the least amount possible.
Dan, spending the last few years on the College Football Playoff Committee, how rewarding was that for you? How much wisdom did you gain from a scheduling standpoint? And how challenging was that from a time management standpoint? Are you looking forward to a season without that?
Yes, I am really looking forward to not having to fly to Dallas 6 times in a row in the fall. Although the people were great, and I said on a number of occasions it was the best committee I've ever worked on. Bill Hancock, Michael Kelly, they just made everything incredibly easy for the members. I think that scheduling is important, and while most of our football schedule is done until around the 23-24 time period, we're looking forward to solidifying some games. We're having some discussions with some teams at this point in time into the latter part of the 2020s. And it is important that we continue to play a very good Power 5 team because, you know, I think our philosophy is pretty easy. You know, we're going to play an in-state FCS and we'll continue to do that. We will bring in a group of 5 team to play here at Memorial Stadium, and then we'll have our home and homes with South Carolina and another Power 5.
When you look at the past year, what do you take the most pride in as the athletic director?
You know, there's so much. Our student athletes and coaches have had such an incredible year, but I think the thing that probably makes me smile the most is the movement of our academic area from Vickery Hall to the west end zone, the Nieri Student Athlete Center, because that was something that was a little bit out of the box. You know, Vickery Hall had been a staple on our campus since about 1990. And it was a building that was in need of repair, but any repairs to it were going to be incredibly expensive. So when the football program was getting ready to move out of their 38,000 square feet that housed the West End Zone over to the Reeves, if we had followed history, the athletic administration would have moved into the West End Zone. The office that I inhabit had been inhabited by Terry Bowden and Dabo when they were first here. So it's kind of like, you know, when football moved over to the West End Zone, athletic administration kind of took over this building. For those of you who've been around here for a long time, this was it's the staff room. This is where Coach Bowden and Coach Sweeney early on had their staff meetings, and all the coaches' offices were around here. So we were thinking about moving to the West End Zone until we had a little bit of a after 5 meeting one day and just kind of asked the question, what's the most important thing that we do? And that's educate our student athletes. So it was at that point in time that we started to flip our thinking as to how we could reconfigure the West End Zone football offices into something that would serve all of our student athletes as an academic center. With the great gift from the Nieri family and some really good work from some talented architects, we were able to move that whole process from Vickery Hall, give Vickery Hall back to the institution for their educational needs, and consolidate all of our student athlete work in the Nieri Family Academic Center. So that, and when we did that, we didn't know how that would be how that would be received by our student athletes. And on exit interviews and other conversations that I've had with our Student Athlete Advisory Council and just individual student athletes, they love it. There's our student performance areas over there, our mental health areas over there, which, by the way, is incredibly important now for all student athletes. Our tutoring areas doubled.